For a limited time, the NLA has dropped all of the 2x balls from the multi-X draw. This means that you, our valuable players, have greater chances of multiplying your winnings up to 5 times more in our 2x drop promotion. Yay! And that's not all. As an additional bonus, there will be fewer free play or FP balls to draw from too. Now you have more reasons to add multi-X to your playway bets. So, value your dreams, win your way, and multiply your winnings up to 5 times more in the NLA's 2x dropped promotion. Promo runs until Friday.
As we celebrate 50 years of independence,
I love my Grenada.
Made in Grenada presents the celebration of 50 years of Calypso.
Oh baby, I feel the fat tonight, honey.
One stage,
No, not so fast.
one show.
Holding me, controlling.
Grenada's best Calypsonians performing Grenada's greatest hits.
Don't take it off. I like it.
Sunday, February 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. sharp. Grenada National Stadium. More information coming soon.
When the DJ play Peter Humphrey, she raise she hand and she tell me, Spanky no play sweeter than home.
Welcome to the ride. Yes. Tuesday on the ride. And this program tonight, guys, will go down in the history books to be one of the most informative program on this platform. And you know, we are always geared in providing you with information, entertainment, news, everything. Listen, you don't need nothing else. Once you ride along, you got everything in it. You're lock, sock, and barrel. You don't need nothing else. Give you everything. Yes. And today, guys, I'm going to share, it's not a secret. I'll share some information to you guys that you do not normally get for free. This information is not normally free. But you know, because you are riders, you are true riders. We got you. Here's what we have, guys. We have an immigration attorney who is with us tonight. He's an expert in the field, and he will be telling us about immigration service and information as it relates to the U.S. and Canada. Yeah, so the folks in Canada who might be looking to adjust their status, the people who are looking to get a visa to go into Canada, booyah, we got you covered. Master Call is here. But we ain't stopped there. Master Call is also licensed to practice here in the U.S. Yes, the man bad like that. U.S. and Canada, all in one. He bad like that. But we didn't stop there, guys. We're not going to stop there. We went far across the waters, guys, and secured one of the most prominent immigration attorney, what they call it about it again? Counselors? Something so. Solicitors. In England. Rachel Kello, she is a friend of the platform, and she's here to tell us all about immigration services out there in England, the UK. Yes. I mean, listen, if are you getting it real good today? So this is what I want you to do, guys. I did my part, they did their part, your part now. Share the program to every friend, every person that you know that live in the UK, the US, and in Canada that might need the service. But not only them, you know. You know, you have people in the Caribbean that looking to migrate. They want to go and do a little shopping. They want to go and do a little shopping. But they're scared because they don't know. Or somebody in the UK, you know, they want to adjust their status. Somebody in the US, they want to adjust their status. They want to go home for a little while. But they don't know. Right here. Tag everybody. Tag every single person that you know, because we don't stick in tonight. Help me introduce, ladies first, as they say. Let me put her up in the big screen. She is a friend of the platform, Rachel Kello. How are you doing, my friend? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
Thank you. Let me tell you, I know it was short notice, and I apologize, but sometimes it happens, right? I'm sorry. I thank you for taking the time to come and chat with us here on the platform, where we're going to be speaking about immigration services and what people need to know while traveling to the UK. So thanks again and welcome. And he is a first timer to the platform, but he's a very good friend. He's family. You could say he's like family. He's originally from Haiti, but he's one of the number one, get it, the number one immigration attorney out there in Canada. The man's so bad that he practiced law in Canada and the US. Master Carl, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic. I can complain.
Yeah,
How about
man. I like that. I like that. Let me first tell you guys that everybody don't already know that I am probably one of the most traveled person on the face of the earth. And I'll tell you how I do it, right? I'm a Grenadian, so I am, of course, going to have my Grenadian passport. And it's full, right? It's full. I live in the US, so I most, of course, have my US passport. But Canada. So I have all the passports. I have it. I'm a world traveler. I got everything right here. Hence the reason why I'm always somewhere, traveling, no problem. Like visa-free access all over the world. I'm good. I want to help the people to be able to access all of these resources that I have access to. So let's start ladies first. Okay, hello, again, let's start with folks that are in Grenada, Trinidad, St. Lucia, Dominica, wherever right now, and they're looking to travel to the UK for a little vacation, right? Folks that need visa or need to access a visa to come there. What is the process and what are some of the best practice to obtain a visa to come to the UK?
Yes, well, so for Grenada and most of the Caribbean islands, what we call the Commonwealth Realm Islands, apart from Jamaica, you don't need a visa to come and visit the UK. So as long as you're coming for no longer than 6 months, you can come to the UK, buy your ticket, and you don't need a visa or to do anything other than just to get on the plane. If you're coming from Jamaica, then you do need a visa. You need to make a full visit visa application. It's actually very difficult to get a visa to come to the UK from Jamaica. They have this thing where they think people may not return back. So there's a lot of problems with showing that you have ties to the Caribbean, that you have family members there, property there. So for Jamaican people, it can be quite difficult. But for other English-speaking Caribbean countries, you don't need a visa to come to the UK as long as you're only visiting. If you're now going to come to work, so this is another big thing. If you're coming to work in the UK and you're from the Commonwealth realm countries and you don't need a visa to visit, it's important that you get a work visa before you enter the UK. Or if you're coming to be with your husband or wife, you get a spouse visa. So basically, if you're coming to the UK to live, it's very important that you get the visa to show that you're coming here to live and not to visit. And I emphasize that point because more and more I am seeing people from Grenada, Trinidad, other Caribbean countries where they don't need a visa to enter, staying beyond the time of visit and then deciding when they get here that they want to live in the UK. But they should have really made those preparations before they came. And the UK is getting very difficult for immigration at the moment. And countries like Namibia and Dominica Republic, they have stopped them from having visa-free entry to the UK, and they're now needing visas to enter the UK. So the Home Office here is not too frightened. They're not afraid to cut all that visa-free entry and force people from the Caribbean to need visas to come to the UK. So it's really important that we don't overstay when we come here.
A lot of things said there, so I want to kind of break it down a little bit. We're sticking on England for a little while. So you're saying that if I'm from Grenada or some of the other Commonwealth countries, other than Jamaica, you do not need a visa? Absolutely not.
What about Commonwealth countries where the Queen, or well, it's the King now, isn't it? Where the King is the head, you don't need a visa.
Right. Okay. So I heard sometime a couple months ago that you now need a travel authorization form. Tell us about that travel authorization form and the difference from a travel authorization than a visa.
Yeah, so a visa is basically what you need to apply for if you don't have the right to enter a presumed right to enter the UK. So when you don't need a visa, they have what we call a presumed right to enter the UK. Or when you get a visa, you make the application and you're successful, then you have a presumed right to enter the UK. And we say presumed because you could get to the airport, they stop you, ask you a number of questions and send you back to your country. So it's a presumed right to enter. They're now introducing electronic travel authorization document for certain countries where you wouldn't normally need a visa to enter the UK. It's not in place at the moment. It's coming in this month for Qatar. And then next year, early next year, there's a few other Middle Eastern countries that it's coming in place for. But at the moment, they haven't added any Caribbean countries. So at the moment, it's still the same as it was for Caribbean countries.
Right. So if you are there now, and you say you come for 6 months, but sometimes, you go, you meet a nice lady, or a lady meet a nice gentleman, but they came on a travel visa. Could they just get married in the UK and adjust their status one time? And that with that
Right.
travel,
Yeah.
with that
So
visa, travel visa?
if they come on that the tourist visa for 6 months, okay, so they get their passport, they come here, they stamp it for 6 months because the passport will be stamped when you get here, and then you change your mind. Now, it's very important that I emphasise if you come to the UK to visit, that you're supposed to leave at the end of your visit. But there is a loophole in a way whereby people from countries where you don't need a visa to enter, if they get here and then whilst they're here, not thinking before they arrive, but whilst they're here, they decide to get married, they can then get married whilst they're in the UK. But they will then have to make an application to extend their leave to remain from within the UK. And normally, the immigration rules say that you should leave and apply to re-enter. So unless there are very exceptional circumstances why you can't leave and apply to re-enter on a spouse visa, then you won't be able to continue living here.
Interesting stuff. All right, let's stick a pin there. Very interesting stuff and very different from the US that I know a little bit about. So let's jump to Canada now. Master Carl, let's talk about people now who want to migrate to to Canada first to visit. And if the probability or the option exists where they find someone and they have to marry, what is the process? First, let's talk about getting a visa to come to Canada.
Oh, definitely. So like before I start, I just want to say everything I'm saying here is legal information. If you guys want to talk about your specific case, you guys can schedule a consult with me. My
Absolutely.
website is alphonselaw.com. So you could go on my website and there's a page there where you could book a consultation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then to answer your question, Junior, in Canada, the way it's set up is a bit similar to the UK. So certain countries you require the ETA and you don't need a visa. But I would say most of the countries in the Caribbean, you do need a visa, which makes the process a bit longer. For example, countries like Grenada, Jamaica, um, uh, Haiti, Dominican Republic, all of those countries require the visa. So the processing time will really vary based on the country. Each country have different processing times. But usually the way it works, like when you're doing your application for a tourist visa, you have to show that you have the financial means, to come to Canada. And you really have to show that you have temporary intent, that you intend to come back home after, after the visit. So it's really important to include information like, like if you have ownership back home, if you have like employment, if you have families, all of those type of information are really important to make the strongest application possible. If you're coming to visit a family member in Canada and those family member will be responsible for all your expenses, you could mention that in your application. That way, like they know exactly what's going on. And like just like Rochelle mentioned, for Canada, it's a bit similar to the UK to the point like the visa it gives you status to come, but the immigration also prevent you from coming in Canada at any point. But yeah, yeah, so like the visas, like as long as you meet the requirement, like when you come into Canada, an immigration officer could deny you entry, even though you qualify. But it's not too likely that will happen.
Right. What are some of the things? What are some of the things? And you mentioned some, but let's get a little bit deeper. What are some of the things that might definitely um, get someone declined, get a visa declined from coming into the U.S.? Say, for instance, sorry, not the U.S. I'm
You mean
Canada.
Canada?
Yeah, Canada in particular, Canada. What are some of the things that that is really important to have on those documents once you're applying for a visa?
Well, what's really important is the proof that you have temporary intent. And that's where people get their cases declined, showing
Temporary,
like all
explain temporary intent. Give me a little more. What's temporary intent?
temporary temporary intent means that you're only coming here for a short period of time and you intend to go back home after the visit. So yeah, it's really important, like that you show that in your application. And the best way to do that, if you have a return ticket, if you have a job back home, if you have ties with home, like all of those things are really important, to show that you're going back home. And like,
Right,
yeah, that's one of the reason why they refuse the visitor visas in Canada, like most of the time.
right. So if you have a business, say for instance you have a business, right? It's good to
Hmm.
show that you have a business back home because that means that you intend to leave because nobody would have a nice business or a nice secure bank account or something that is going for them and decide to just leave that and move to Canada. So all of that is
Exactly.
good to have.
All of
And
that
land.
is good evidence. You learn everything, everything that ties you back home. Like everything that show you have property, you have ownership, like something that will make you go back home. That's good evidence to put in the application.
Right. So say you are there now. You are in Canada for that 6 months, but then hey, things happen. You go to the to the CN Tower. You saw somebody nice. You decide to hook up. Next thing you find out, you're getting married. Look at that. So nice, right? You got a nice person in Canada. You're getting married. Do you have to return in order to adjust your status, or can you adjust your status while you're in Canada on that same visa that you came in with?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Vic. That's a really good question, Junior. You know what? I think in that case, like what's really important is that we don't violate the status. So if they come as a visitor, like they need to extend before the 6 month expiry, and also like it's possible to apply, like for like to get like sponsorship as a spouse. But in Canada, if you want to sponsor someone as a spouse, there's three ways you could do it. So if either the person has to be married with you, so like like he has to be like a wedding that is accepted by law in Canada. In Canada, weddings that are done remotely are not accepted. So yeah, so you have to get the wedding in. The second way is like you are a common law partner. So that means that like you guys are not married, but you guys have been living together for more than a year. Um,
Common law. You said right?
Common law, exactly. In the
Wow.
US, like in the US, like it's only married, right? If you're not married in the US, you're not considered a spouse. But in
Right.
Canada, is better because like if you're a common law spouse, you're not married, but you've been living together for more than a year and you guys have proof of that. It could be it could be like bill statements, could be bank account, could be insurance, and that you guys have been living together but for more than a year, you guys could qualify to do a sponsorship in
Wow.
Canada in that case. And the last option is when someone like they're not able to get married and they haven't been living together for more than a year, but there valid reason for that. And in those cases, um, like we're talking about like someone who's like maybe like in a war-torn country, and because of that, like the wedding is not able to happen, or
Right.
like there has to be like a really really huge reason. In those situations also they might look into it. But even like the third reason, like is more complicated, and I would recommend if someone in that situation to consult a lawyer to get like
Absolutely.
a
Absolutely.
specific advice.
Hmm.
But yeah, like if the person like is in a valid status, you could sponsor the person in Canada. And
Hmm.
what's even better in Canada is that you can also, well, like the person who's there is being sponsored, you could apply for open work permit. So the person is
Oh.
also able to work once they receive their work permit, while the sponsorship is being processed, which
Interesting
is a
stuff.
huge,
Okay.
which is a huge advantage, because in
Yes.
the US that's not feasible.
Okay, hello. Let's talk about this because he said something there that is just non-existent in the U.S., especially with the partner. That relationship that is not bound by marriage. You could still sponsor someone. Does that work like that in England?
Yes, yes, it does. Yeah, but we're a bit harsher. So you've got to live together. You've got to show that you've been living together for at least 2 years continuously. And then, yes, as long as you've got your own status, British citizenship, indefinite leave to remain, refugee status, you can sponsor somebody, even though you're not married. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the process of marriage now in England, right? So you found someone, it's legal. I mean, of course, all the things that we're speaking about, guys, is above board. We're not talking about set-up marriage or hook-up marriage or fraudulent marriage. We're talking about legal marriage. So when I say marriage, that's what I'm talking about, legal marriage, right? You found someone, click in, you guys decide to get married. What's the process from the time you get married to application and receiving your stay? What is the time process and what is the process of getting that done?
Right, so somebody's already in the UK and then you decide to get married. So whether you were lawfully here at the time you decided to get married or you were here on a different visa, so a work visa, and then you decided to get married, and then you decide to apply for the spouse visa or partner visa. So everybody starts by putting in their application, and that application is done online. And then the application needs the supporting documentation. So you would then submit your application to the Home Office and you would include your supporting documentation. And then at a point, you then have to go and do your fingerprints and photograph. So the Home Office will arrange that for you to have that done at their visa centre. And then that's all you need to do. You then wait for the Home Office decision. So depending now, because of COVID and they said the war in Ukraine, they say they're taking up to 9 months to make a decision on the application. The fee for that type of application is £2,608 at the moment. If you decide to do it fast track, which some of my clients do it fast track, they pay an extra £1,000. So instead of waiting 9 months, they literally get it the next day. So it can be processed the next day if you pay them an extra £1,000. And then once you get your residence card, that will be for 2.5 years. Then you continue extending for 2.5 years. And depending whether you're on the 5-year route or the 10-year route, you then get your indefinite leave to remain, which is your permanent residence. And you don't have to do anything there. You're almost British, but you're not quite. But you can get all the rights of a British citizen, and then you can decide if you wish to do so to get your British citizenship.
Interesting stuff. All right. So I want to talk a bit about working, right? Let's start with England. Someone in the US, I know, in order to work legally, which is on the books, you need to have Social Security, you need to have your work permit, right? Is there anywhere in England where you could obtain a work permit that allows you to work in whatever specific field without having your travel document or your landing papers or your citizenship? Do they allow that or afford that opportunity to people?
No, I would say no. If you have a spouse, a family life visa, so spouse, because you're here for your partner, your spouse, or your children, then you get you're automatically entitled to work, and that can be in any job. Or you would need to come over on a work visa, and you'd need to fulfill the criteria of the work visa requirements, and make sure that you stay within the rules of your work visa. Or if you come here and you're seeking asylum, so you haven't quite got asylum, you've got no status, you may have came off a boat, the way things are in the UK at the moment, and you start seeking asylum. If your asylum application is been in the Home Office for 1 year, they will then let you work in certain jobs. So we have jobs in the occupation shortage list, which are jobs that we have a shortage of people in the UK who can fulfill those jobs. So we normally open that out for people to come and work here. So if you are seeking asylum for more than a year, even though you don't have any status, then you can work in one of those occupation shortage list jobs. If you just come into the UK illegally, have no status, have no papers, you cannot work.
I see. I see. Master Carl, speak a little bit about working in Canada and also speak about farm labor, because I know that there were situations where people in the region, Eastern Caribbean countries, would apply for farm labor work and they would travel as probably like apple picking, grape picking, whatever it is, application for those type of entry into Canada. How does that work?
Most work in Canada requires a work permit. So if someone's coming for farm labor, they need some type of work permit. Usually for those type of work permit, because it's low skilled, they're like a longer process where the employer has to apply for what they call like a labor market assessment, which is like almost like a recruitment process that they have to go through just to show to the government that they have no one who's able to do the job here. When they run the recruitment and there's no one who qualifies, then like they submit the labor market assessment to immigration and also Service Canada, and they judge the application. It's a process that could take several months. Once the process is approved, that's when you could apply for the work permit with the approved labor market assessment. And that's how most people get like a visa to work in the farms. Like most people who come here like as a worker, it's almost like when you come as a visitor, you have to respect the duration of your stay, so you're only able to work for a certain period of time, and a lot of times you're only able to work for the employer who's on your work permit.
I see.
And if you switch employer, you will need a new work permit. So it could be in the same category, or it could be in a different category, and that could get complicated. So if someone in that situation, I would suggest that you get an assessment by a lawyer. But yeah, like that's how it usually works in the farmland. What's good with Canada, like there's different type of occupation. If we're not looking at farmland, we're looking for higher skilled occupations, like occupation in the tech. So there's way more options when it comes to work permit. Like maybe I can list a few, because like in Canada there's like at least a more than 20 options. The most popular ones are for like big corporations that have entities all over the world. And if they have an entity in Canada and they have a worker, like let's say the worker is in UK and the worker has been working there for more than a year in the last 3 years, they can apply for like a work permit called the intra-company transfer. And with that one, like if it's two types, there's for specialized knowledge employees, which mean an employee who has like a specific knowledge, of the company process technologies, that is superior than any other people in the company. And like if it's if a specialized knowledge, the person could be in Canada up to 5 years. The first work permit, like is given for 3 years, then you can extend for additional years later. It's also given for managers. So if you're a manager, you have reports, you could the same way as a manager, but this time it's given for 7 years. And for that category, when the person reaches the maximum duration on that status, they have to either find a new work permit status or go back home.
I see. Interesting stuff. Let me stick a pin right there. Let me just say this really quickly as a programming note, guys. This is the most informative immigration session we will ever have, because today these lawyers are sparing time out of their busy schedule to join us on the program. So please, guys, you don't get this every day, and you don't get this on every platform. Right Along Live, affording you the opportunity now. Share this program and invite a friend. Please, I advise you. And we have a question here coming in quickly from Shalud Ras. Sorry, Shalud, if I messed it up. What is the process to get an ETA, that my electronic travel authorization for Canada, for Trinidadian who holds a U.S. visa? If you have
Yeah,
that
that's a really
information,
good.
Ham.
Yes, definitely. I'm actually looking it up right now. So yeah, like I'm just looking to see. So like in Canada, there's a whole list of country that doesn't require a visa to come to Canada. So those people
Yes.
they have to apply for what they call a ETA. So for the ETA process, it's the same for all the country that qualify for the ETA. All you have to do is to log online. You could go do a Google search for ETA Canada, and you could simply apply online. It's a really simple process that takes a few minutes to do. And if you approve, you get you get a decision right away. And yeah, and that's it. That's all you need, for those countries that are visa exempt in Canada. So Trinidad is one of the country like in the Caribbean that is exempt. And also Barbados is exempt from a visa to Canada as well.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Hello. Listen, I wish you could stay on for a whole 2 hours, but we can't because we have limited time. Akelo, let's talk about if you live in the UK right now, which a lot of Caribbean people are living there, and they're out of status. They don't really know what to do to get in status. What is the best way that you know that they could apply to adjust their status in the UK right now for the millions of people that are living, like alien in another country? And I don't like to use the word alien, by the way, but that's what they call them.
No, well, we don't say alien.
Yes, and the same in the US, I hate it. I hate it, by the way. I hate
like in the US, yeah. So I've been a solicitor this month. I've been a solicitor for 20 years. 20 years, 21 years this month I've been a solicitor. So I help lots of people to regularize. We call it regularizing their immigration status. So they would have overstayed, and we'll term them as being overstayers. And so the first thing I want to impress upon people coming from the Caribbean, as I said earlier, is please, when you want to come and live in the UK, please don't just jump on a plane and come and stay here and overstay, because you end up just spending so much more money trying to regularize your status. You spend many years without status, can't work, can't rent, can't open a bank account, can't drive. Not to mention your friends will get fed up if you're sleeping on their settee, and then you start moving from one house to another, and then the next thing they might even report you to immigration, and then the next thing you're detained, and all kind of problems arise from that. So it's very important, coming from the Caribbean or elsewhere, to make sure that you make an application based on the reason that you want to come to the UK before you come here. However, if you find yourself you've overstayed in the UK, then obviously your duty then is to regularize your immigration status. Normally, if you're in the UK and you don't have leave to remain, you don't have UK residence, it will be extraordinarily difficult for you, or probably impossible for you, to regularize your status unless you have human rights reasons. So that could be your family life, or because you have asylum reasons. So there's a fear of you returning to your country of origin. And really, it has to be a genuine fear, and in accordance normally with the Refugee Convention. So it has to be a genuine fear. And what I would say to people from the Caribbean, particularly countries outside of Jamaica, but I'm also going to say Jamaica, asylum claims from the Caribbean rarely work. Not that they never work, they do work sometimes, they can be successful. But if you think of coming from Grenada and saying, I want to seek asylum from Grenada, I'm too frightened to go back to Grenada, your application is highly likely to be unsuccessful. There are certain countries in the UK where they consider people can come and seek asylum, countries such as Eritrea in East Africa, for example. Right. So if you find that that's not to say that if you do have a fear, you shouldn't say so, but it's just to pre-warn anybody that you're not likely to be successful coming from the Caribbean seeking asylum. So you then look to see if you have a spouse here, and if you have a husband or wife here who's British or has indefinite leave to remain, then you can apply to stay with that person. But like I said, you'll need to show why you shouldn't leave and apply to re-enter in accordance with the immigration rules. And if you have a child here that you have regular contact with, that you have a parental relationship with your child, not that you're just on the birth certificate, but you have an actual relationship with your child, then you can make an application to stay in the UK because you have a child in the UK.
Ooh. Stick a pin right there. Very interesting. So essentially, your baby could file for, like, not file for you, but could sustain you or give you a stay in the UK. That's what you're saying?
If you have a child that you have a parental relationship with, then yes. When you say baby, if the Home Office are going to be really harsh, they could say your baby and your wife can all go and live in Grenada, for example, together. The child is not yet used to being in the UK. So it may be that the child is older and is used to being in the UK, and then it's found not to be in the child's best interest to have to leave the UK. Or it could be that you're not in a relationship with the child's mother. So whereas they would normally say, oh, you can all go and live in your country of origin, whether it's a mother's country or not, they wouldn't be able to say that if you're not in a relationship with the child's mother, because she's not going to follow you to your country. And then you'd be able to make that application because you're in your child's life, and you won't be able to see your child if you're not in the UK.
I see. So the question here that was posed by Leeds, how does a child over 18 with a parent with UK citizenship get residence in the UK?
A child who's over 18 with a British parent.
A child is over 18 with UK citizenship get residence in the UK.
How does a child over 18 with a parent with UK citizenship get residence in the UK? All right, so it would depend. I mean, if your parent was British when you were born, then you could also get your citizenship. If you were born in the UK and you lived in the UK for at least 10 years continuously, so you at 18 you've lived here for more than 10 years. If you were born here and stayed here all your life, then you can apply to register as a British citizen. If your parent for example, your parents somehow got their British citizenship, but you were not born in the UK, then you somehow came to join your parent, but you're over 18, your immigration status will not be dependent upon your parent at all. So, for example, if you are not able to get your British citizenship through your parent and you come to the UK without papers, then you're going to be in the same situation as I've just explained just now a bit earlier.
I see. Understand. Okay, great. A lot of information. Master call. Someone just sent me this information here, guys. And by the way, we open up the phone lines really quickly. Okay, how are we doing on time?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, it's late in the UK, but I'm okay.
Thank you. He's late there. It's 11
I
going on 12.
started, so I'll finish.
Okay, so I have a question here about pardon. Someone messaged that, but guys, you could ask your question. You could call in live, 718-701-5720. You won't have this opportunity every time, so please call in. If you want to muffle your voice or put your tie or your shirt over it so people don't recognize your voice, that's fine as well, but call in if you have a question, all right? So someone here was asking about pardon. Right, and I don't know in what context they speak about pardon, like you're asking for pardon, probably because you overstayed before, whatever the case is. So speak about pardon in general context.
In general context, so pardon. Okay, the thing is in Canada, there's like the pardon process. When someone overstayed, what they have is called the temporary resident permit.
Right.
And this type of applications, if we can avoid it, I will strongly recommend everyone to avoid it. The reason why is because it's extremely discretionary. So just like my colleague was saying earlier, if you come, on a status here, in Canada, make sure you respect the requirements of your status. If you overstay, you might not be able to come to Canada in the future. And even the pardon is something that they also use in the criminal process. Different, like some people who have a criminal record might not qualify to come to Canada as well. But that's a different context. But like I'm talking about the temporary resident permit, and the temporary resident permit is almost like a bandage solution for
Right.
anyone that could be inadmissible to Canada, and that includes the situation where people overstayed, people have like maybe like medical issues, like let's say, like it's gonna be like excessive care, for the Canadian success medical um with the Canadian medical system, and
Right.
also it could be like a criminal issue. The TRP, like it's really case specific. The officer will look at the case, based on the evidence to say, okay, if there's anything that warrant them to to approve the TRP and get the person to come to Canada. So it's almost
Okay.
like a whatever immigration issues that they have, the TRP cures it. But yeah, like I would really not advise anyone to be in that situation, because like I said, most of those cases are highly discretionary,
Right.
and they like really need to be really strong for them to be approved. And like more
Gotcha.
more cases get refused than accepted.
Not approved. Okay, let's go to the phone. We got a caller on the line right now. Let's jump to the caller right now. Caller, live. Where are you calling us from?
Hi, good night. I'm calling you from Florida.
Florida. Do me a quick favor. Just on your background TV or whatever you have in the background, just turn it on and just talk to me on the phone. I'm getting a little feedback in the back.
Okay, just hold it.
Yes, no problem.
All right, no problem. Okay, yes. Are
Right.
you hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you much better now. Go ahead, caller.
Yes. Okay, so I have a question. Can a grandparent sponsor his or her grandchildren for permanent residency in the U.S.?
Right. So that would go to Master Carl. A grandparent, you're saying, right?
Yes, a grandparent who has citizenship in the U.S.
Okay. All right. Master Carl?
Yeah, I didn't hear the question. Can you clarify again? Sorry, if you don't mind.
Okay. Let me see if nobody heard the question. Her audio didn't go through. Okay. She was saying,
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't hear her either?
I think she said, can a grandparent sponsor their children to come to the US or Canada,
Yeah.
whichever country she's talking about?
Yeah. A grandparent. Can a grandparent sponsor their child, their grandchild
The
To come and live
grandchild.
yeah.
in the
Oh,
US? Yeah.
that's okay. Well, in Canada, you mean? Okay. Yeah, like it's extremely difficult. Like this question. In Canada, usually the people that you can sponsor are your spouse or your children. A grandparent will not be able to sponsor our grandchildren. But there could be specific reason where a grandparent will be able to. But it will be a situation where like maybe like both the parents of the children died, and the child is an orphan, and maybe the
Right.
grandparent adopt that child as their own. So like yeah, it's a really specific question. If you want more specific advice that's tailored to that question, I advise that you go to my website alphonselaw.com, and we could set up an appointment to discuss in more detail, because yeah, this is a really specific question. But usually like grandparents are not able to sponsor their kid. Most of the time it's either like a spouse, like you can sponsor, or you can sponsor a child, so like you can sponsor the child of a child. And even
Right.
with that, like in Canada, the specific requirements when it comes to who's a child is someone who's younger than 21 years old.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so if the
Okay.
person is more than 20 to 21, you're not able to sponsor them. And also, one thing to consider is that if the child is younger than 21 years old and they're married, they might not be able. You might not be able to sponsor that child if they're married.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the phone lines again. We got more calls on the line. Caller, live. Where are you calling us from?
Hello?
Hi, caller. Go right ahead.
Okay. So I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I have a question.
Yes, go right ahead.
I'm trying to find out if you get caught walking illegally in the UK and you don't have a status, meaning you illegally overstay time and you get caught working, what is the next move? And how do you get out of that situation?
All
But
right.
you've been living there for 5 years.
Okay, deportation proceedings. Okello is an expert in that field. Okello?
Yes, so you're working in the UK and you're caught working illegally. The Home Office could probably take one of two actions. They could either just detain you and see why you're in the UK, and if you've got grounds to be in the UK, for example, you've got a family life in the UK or asylum reasons to be in the UK, then you would be given an opportunity to make that application to regularize your immigration status. Or there can be the case where I've seen people are actually charged and they go to court and they may get convicted, have a criminal conviction because they worked illegally, and then maybe get a suspended sentence. Depending now on the length of any sentence or whether you work or commit any other criminal activity, if you get a prison sentence of more than 12 months continuously, then you go through the automatic criminal deportation process, which is a different process to just simply overstaying. And deportation can be even if somebody has indefinite leave to remain for permanent residence. If you commit a criminal offence for more than 12 months, you could go through deportation. So there's a two-pronged answer to your question. One, the Home Office will decide whether they actually want to prosecute you, or two, you will, no matter what, be given the opportunity to regularize your immigration status. And if it seems that you have no grounds to be in the UK, you may go through the criminal process and then be removed, administratively removed or deported if you get a deportation order, basically, from the UK. So all's not completely lost, to be fair.
The deportation process, as we learned from the U.S. immigration, is not an instantaneous process, right? As we learned from our attorney who also do immigration here in the U.S., it's essentially that a process. So you would be like someone may report your status, and it would go through a process. You have to appear in court, and you have to go through the whole process before the deportation. Does it work like that in the UK? Because I heard of an instance where people were sent back.
Yeah, so there's two types of deportation. We have one called administrative removal, and then we have one which is criminal deportation, where they give you a deportation order and you're excluded from the UK, and they want to enforce that order, and that means they want to remove you, put you on a plane outside the UK. If you're going through administrative removal, so you haven't committed any criminal offence, but you come to the UK and you don't have grounds to be here, or you don't have a residence card, I should say, and then the Home Office grab you, you can immediately make an application to stay in the UK. And if your application is successful, literally your immigration problems will be resolved and you'll be able to get UK residence and carry on living in the UK. If you're being deported because of criminal proceedings, then you can, and you've got leave to remain, because many people in the UK who actually get deportation orders, they are actually legally in the UK. But if you're going through deportation proceedings, so the Home Office will revoke your leave to remain, and then they start those proceedings against you, you get an opportunity to say why you shouldn't be removed from the UK, even though you've got a criminal offence. And then if they refuse to accept you, because it's a very harsh Home Office we have these days anyway, so if they refuse to accept your decision, then you'll get the opportunity to go to court and go through the appeals process. And yes, this process can go on for many, many years. And you can also, even if you lose the appeal, you can resubmit your application back to the Home Office for them to consider your circumstances all over again.
So you're saying it's not instant. Someone report, okay, there is someone who does not have legal rights to be here, and they work in so and so place. It's not like they go pick you up today, put you on a plane tomorrow, right?
They can do, yes. If, for example, say you're just a lone 20-year-old and you're in the UK working illegally, the Home Office come to your place of work, pick you up, and they ask you, what are you doing here? And you say, I'm a lone 20-year-old, I've got no family, no friends. I'm just here in the UK by myself. Yes, they will take you to the airport and put you on a plane and send you back home because you've got no asylum claim. You've not told them about any family life claim. So yes, in those circumstances, they can put you on a plane. If the Home Office are giving you what we call removal directions, so it's a ticket to put you on the plane, then you can apply for an injunction to the court to stop that removal taking place. But the judge will only give you the injunction if you have grounds to be in the UK. So if there are no grounds, then yes, you can be very quickly removed from the UK.
Wow, interesting stuff. Let's go back to the phone. Now we got another caller on the line. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from?
Hi, I'm calling from Grenada.
Grenada, go right ahead.
Well, it's right. Two questions. Question one: if you that is concerning Canadian visa, if you have a U.S. visa, for example, how is it for you to obtain a Canadian visa?
Very, very good question, caller. Very good question. Very good question. Let's put that over to Master Carl. Carl, if you have a U.S. visa, how difficult is it to get a Canadian visa?
Well, like a lot of people will think it's probably Canadian visa, but I would say it's not always the case. It's really case specific. Someone can get a visa in the U.S. and since then their circumstances have changed. Maybe now they have like a criminal offense, or maybe like the financial situation is not the same. So like it's specific. But let's say the situation hasn't changed. Like if you get a visa in the US, most likely you'll be able to get a visa in Canada.
Right. And oftentimes someone said that if you got a visa to come into the U.S. and you're here, say you came in on a vacation, it's much easier if you go to Manhattan into the consulate here in the city to apply for that Canadian visa rather than if you're doing it from back in the Caribbean. Do you find that being expedited if you do it that way?
Not all the time. Like in some cases, like in the Caribbean embassies, sometimes like there's a huge backlog, and because in the US, sometimes you could get like a faster appointment, but it's not all the time. I've had a few situations where it was feasible, especially like if someone's looking at the embassy in New York.
Right.
They're really good, at processing visas for people from other countries, not only people living here in the US.
Right. We have a question on the screen, but we also got a caller on the phone. Let's take the call on the phone, and then you could take a look at that question on the screen. So, caller on the phone lines, go right ahead. Where are you calling us from?
Hi, good night.
Hey, good night, caller. Turn your background down for me. Turn your background all the way down for me because it's giving me a feedback, like your TV.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, good night.
Yeah, go ahead, caller. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Grenada.
Grenada, go right ahead.
Okay, I'm trying to find out if you're trying to get a visa for a child. Does one of the parents must have their visa?
Right. Okay. You want to get where you want to travel to? Canada, the U.S.
For the U.S.
The U.S.
Yes.
Right. And how old is that child?
18 at the moment.
18.
Well, I have other kids as well, but I want to know if I have to get a visa for any one of them. Is it that I or their dad must have their visa first?
Okay, let me throw that at the expert and hear what they say. All right, Master Carl?
Definitely, I can answer. This is a U.S. question. Like this is legal information, not legal advice. Like in the U.S., the definition of a child is someone who's younger than I think 19. So like if like for the child when you're applying for a visa, like just like the adult has to show that there's temporary intent and that the person will go back home after the stay. You have to do the same thing for the child. So in the case, like you have to show like that the child when they come to the US, like there's gonna be someone who's gonna be responsible for all the financial expenses. Like maybe the child that goes to school, so information about the school, If the child is working back home, you put that information, and all the family information, that they have all their families back home. Like for the child, like it's a bit harder, like to win on those cases, but I think it's still winnable as long as you show that, like all the financial documents are here, that, like when the child come to the US, it's gonna be supported, and he's gonna be going back home when the stay is over.
Right. Okay. Good. 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 The question on the screen. Good night. We'd like to find out if someone from Canada want to marry you from the Caribbean, but you have a child that is in the 20s. Is it possible that the child could also be sponsored? I guess we could get it for England as well. But Master Call, what do you have to say
Oh,
on that?
definitely. So like, yeah, in that case, let's say, like the parent of that child gets married with a Canadian citizen, and that Canadian citizen sponsor that parent. Like you should be able to sponsor that child as well, because you're able to sponsor the children of your spouse, and that's something that that happens really often, and yeah, it's completely feasible. As I mentioned before, a child for immigration purposes in Canada is someone that's under the age of 22. So yeah, if you're under the age of 22, in that case, that person is in their 20s. Like as long as they're under 22, they could be sponsored with the spouse. And all the spouse, like all the children of that spouse that's under 22, could be included in the sponsorship application.
Absolutely. All right, Okello, this question, but specifically this one that just came in here, very interesting. What if two undocumented individuals living in the UK had a child, right? What becomes of them and what becomes of the child?
So all of them will have no status, including the child who's born in the UK. So being born in the UK to parents with no status means you will also have no status. You can take the status of a lawful parent in the UK, for example, if your parent is British or has indefinite leave to remain, and then you're born in the UK after they're British or indefinite leave to remain, then you'll be British. But if your parents don't have status, you won't have status either. The child can live in the UK from birth up to the age of 10 years of age, and then the child can apply for British citizenship, and the parents can apply to stay with the child because they're their parents of a British citizen child. But if you imagine, that's a whole 10 years to wait. Or more recently, if the child has been in the UK for 5 years or 7 years, then they may be able to apply for indefinite leave to remain based on their private life. So they could have been born in the UK or came to the UK at a young age, and they can apply for indefinite leave to remain. And then once the child gets indefinite leave to remain, the parents can apply to stay with their child. But what you'd have to really be showing, as I was saying earlier, when in the case of the baby, if the child is in the UK and is very young, or is in the UK and is not integrated into the UK life, then it may be very difficult for the parents to get their status based on their child, because they can still say you and your child can leave and go to your country of origin, because a child is young. And as we know, young children, they can adapt to different countries. If you take a 5-year-old child to the Caribbean, they can adapt quite easily. So it's the same thing the Home Office may say here. You can take a 5-year-old child to the Caribbean, and the child can adapt very easily. But now if the child's been in the UK for at least 7 years continuously, then you can apply for the child to get their indefinite leave to remain.
Okay. Got it. Again, guys, the phone lines are open, 718-701-5720. Someone sent me a very interesting question. It have to do with being or living in the Commonwealth, and you want to join the military, right, in the UK, for instance. I will do for Canada as well, but say for the UK. Is it a fast-track system where you could obtain your stay or citizenship if you join the UK military?
The difficulty that people have is coming on the visit visa to do the interview in order to process, for the army to accept them into the army, and then to process their army application. So if you're, for example, from a Caribbean country where you don't need a visa to enter the UK, then you can enter the UK and you can do your interview, your army interview, before you get accepted into the army, and you might have to do a fitness test and that sort of thing. If you're from Jamaica, for example, or a Commonwealth country where you do need a visa to enter the UK, then the sticky point might be to get the visit visa to come to the UK to do your army interview and assessment, because they may refuse you thinking that you're not going to leave and you don't really want to join the army, etc. If you then get through that process and you're entered the UK, you've got accepted by the army, then you've got a job offer effectively to join the army, because it's a job like any other job offer. So if you want to come to the UK to work, you need a job offer, whatever job you're going to do, and you use that job offer to get the visa. And once you've got a job offer, an army job offer or an engineer job offer, getting the visa, as long as you fulfill the other criteria, is very easy and is fast-tracked. Mostly the Home Office take a few weeks to make that decision.
I see.
So it's important to note that they treat the army, people who work in the army, like anybody else. It's a job. So you can also, if you commit criminal offences, you can end up being deported and all that sort of thing. So it's a job like any other. Although, thank you for your service. It's not a job like any other, but according to the Home Office, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because, we salute the folks in the military. Jump back to the phone lines. Caller live, where are you calling us from?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York. Go right ahead.
Okay. But 3 years ago, my daughter died, and she left me 8 young children. The oldest was 14, 13 at the time. Wow. The 3 older boys are with my other daughter right now. However, one of them ended up in a home. He's young. He's I think he's about 12. He ended up in a home, so he's in Grenada right now. He was acting out and being violent and picking up weapons and cursing out everybody, so we didn't know what to do.
Right.
However, I would like to get the 3 children here with me, and I kind of inquired in the home, what can I do and stuff, but they're telling me that I have to adopt them first before I can get them. However, 2 of the boys, one in the one home and the another one, the 15-year-old, their father is also dead. A few years ago, there was a thing in Grenada where a young man had got killed. He disappeared in St. Vincent somewhere. It was all over the news.
Yes.
His mother had a bail on him, and that was their father.
Oh.
Right? So now this young boy is in a home that their father's mother, she decided all of a sudden that child is not her grandchild anymore. So I don't know what to do, and I'm a little bit financially strapped, so I'm kind of need some advice on how to go about saving these boys, because they're already, the bigger one already getting in trouble, and stuff. So I need a little advice on the immigration part. Hopefully, if I could get that, I'd be grateful.
It's a very sad situation, caller. Adopting a child, Master Carl, in the US and Canada, what's the process?
Well, the process is really different depending on what country that is. Like I said, let's look at Canada first. On the Canadian part, you can only sponsor a spouse or a child. A child could be someone that has been adopted. So yeah, you really need to some adoption in that situation. And it will be the same thing for the US as well. If you don't have any link with the person as a child, it's not going to work a lot of the times.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Grandmother.
Caller, sorry?
No, I said even if I'm the maternal grandmother, I don't.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. It's a really sad situation. Yeah. But in those situations, you have to meet the requirement of what the child is. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you adopt those people, you should be able to bring them in. I would suggest, if you want more advice on that specific case, you can go on my website, alphonselaw.com, and you could book a consult.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I would
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
that.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, caller.
Thank you so.
All right, yeah. We're strapped for time. We're strapped for time. Again, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with us. Hopefully we could do it next month or so. I don't know, because a lot of people still have a lot of questions. We haven't gotten to all of them. But I think one of the things that I want to echo, right? I know a lot of people are talking about, and Okello brought it up as well, as it relates to deportation and the process of deportation. I think it's important that every one of us understand that if you're living in the United States, Canada, or England, and you have not adjusted your status, you are really kind of living in a no man's world, because you cannot you're not able to do anything really. Everything would be off the books. And in England and Canada, it's even worse than the United States. So in every instant, guys, if you are in a position to adjust your status, take the time, find out, speak to an attorney, and see the way that's available to you to adjust your status. In the US, there are plenty. There are many different things that you could do. In the UK, in Canada as well. So we urge you guys to give them a call. These attorneys are very professional. They know what they're talking about. Give them a call, schedule a consult, and get your status adjusted. Okello, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how could they reach you over there in England?
Right, so they can reach me after Christmas, because I'm not taking on any new clients at the moment. But my website is clarityvisas.com, and
Okay.
you can put a
If you could
case
just type
assessment.
it in here for me. If you could type it in here for me so I could put it up on the screen. Just type it in right there. And I'll put it up on the screen, because I want the people, listen, I am passionate about immigration because I lived that life for many, many years. So I want to see people adjust their status. I want to see people, okay, I got it. Boom. It's on the screen right there.
I hope
Sorry.
is it say Clarity Visas, yeah? Clarityvisas.com.
Clarity Visa, sorry. Okay, that's the one for Carl. All right, clarityvisas.com. That's it right there.
My glasses.
That's spelled correctly there, right?
I hope so. I've got my glasses.
Okay. Yeah.
clarityvisas.com. Visas.com.
Right. Okay, I got it. All right. So you could get in touch with her with this clarityvisas.com. Go on the website, book, but not until after Christmas, because again, she's not doing an intake at all right, absolutely. Okay, there are so many people that would need the assistance. So let's close it off with you, Okello. What do you want to say, in closing words for the thousands of people that are watching right now, and they want to adjust their status, they want to, live a better life wherever they're living. What could they do at the moment? What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I'll follow it on from a question I think I spotted in the chat there as well, where somebody was saying if you're from, I think they said Grenada, which island, and you come for 6 months, and then you go to a European country, stay there for a little bit, then you come back for 6 months because you've got the visa to enter, then you go and you keep doing that. The Home Office at some point may stop you at the airport and say that we think you're trying to live in the UK, so we're going to refuse you entry to come here. And then the next time you want to come and visit the UK, you have to make a proper application as if you're somebody who's from a country that needs a visa to enter here. So one thing I want to really stress to our people in the Caribbean is that you must not come to the UK and overstay, or come to the UK and try to play around with the immigration system, come like you're pretending to visit, then go and stay in France for a couple of days and come back to the UK. You really must have a think about it, have a plan. It might even be a 5-year plan. You can't just jump on a plane and come straight away. You have a 5-year plan and you say, okay, I'm going to go to the UK to work. What job am I going to do? I might need to do some training. Let me get that training. When you get the training, let me look for a job. You look for the job, apply for the job, get the job. You come here and you can work from day zero. And you're in a much better position than some people who've been here all 18, 19 years and they still got no papers to be here. Because if you've been in the UK, you asked about pardon before as well, Junior. If you've been in the UK, then from 20 years, so a whole 20 years, and you haven't got any children or anything like that, you've got to wait a whole 20 years before you can regularize your immigration status. So really, you must plan before you come here, and then everything will be very plain sailing for you.
Plan. That's the key word. UK, plan. It's all about planning that. Master Carl, closing words for the thousands, hundreds of thousands of Haitians, Grenadians, Jamaicans, people all over Canada right now and wanting to adjust their status. What advice do you have for them to do so?
I will echo Rachel's advice. I think her advice was very wise. So it's really important, like when you're coming in here, like depending on your status, you respect the requirement of your status, because that you're not respecting it might hurt you in the long run. So yeah, it's easier to follow what your status is. And if you're not in proper status, you have to seek an attorney as soon as possible to make sure that you are in the right status. In Canada, there's lots of options available. So discussing with a lawyer will really help you get the best option. And even if you're in a situation where you might need to get deported, working with a lawyer might be the best thing to do. And there's lots of way, a lawyer can stop a deportation in Canada. Until you see someone and you have a strategy, don't try to don't try to do things on your own and think more than the immigration officials. A lot of times, I've seen cases where there's easy case, for a lawyer to do, but the person then consult a lawyer and they got advice from other places and they got their case in a worse situation. So I would advise, I know it's expensive sometimes to consult a lawyer, but immigration is probably the most important thing, especially, for someone who's in an issue, something like that. So invest in a good immigration lawyer who could give you the right strategy to adjust your status.
Right. And it's not as easy as just see it a 90-day fiance, right? Which I know is one of your favorites.
Oh no, it's not as easy as depending on the situation. There's lots, there could be strategies, so you need someone who's well versed with those strategies, to make sure that you get the best option available to you. If anyone wants to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on my website. My website is alphonselaw.com, and you could do your inquiry directly from there.
Right. Let me alphonselaw.com. Again, guys, we urge you to take this advice, give the professionals a contact, schedule a consultation, and adjust your status. It's probably one of the single best thing you could do for your life, for your future. It's very, very, very important. It may mean that you may have to miss a couple fetes. It may mean that you may have to miss a couple things, you know what I mean? But it's very much worth it as well. It's very, very worth it. But listen, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. Master Carl, we have to do this again. Okello, I know you're very busy, and we have to plan about what we're doing in Ghana, my third home. Because we have a lot of plans, a lot of things to talk about Ghana as well. But I appreciate you guys' time, and I thank you so much for taking this opportunity to chat with the audience and give them this very pertinent and needed information at this time. Thanks again, guys.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, absolutely. Guys, I got some closing words and some advice to everyone as well, but we got a quick commercial break. Let's take this commercial break, and we'll be right back. Don't move.
Ministry of Tourism and Economic Development and the Grenada Tourism Authority extend a warm welcome to visitors and returning nationals visiting for Carnival and summer vacation. We do hope you enjoy your stay with us, and we invite you to return with friends and family to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence on 7th February 2024. Tourism is my business, your business, our business.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money
Now, get ready to conquer the road with Zion Driving Instructors, conveniently located at 1782 Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We are your ticket to driving success. We are known for and specialize in the best rates for driving classes, ensuring you reach your driving goals affordably and efficiently. Our expert instructors offer personalized one-on-one training, making you a confident and skilled driver. Plus, we offer convenient 5-hour classes and various packages deal to give you even more value. Ready to take the wheel? Call us today at 718-374-5678. That's 718-374-5678. Or visit ZionDrivingInstructors.com. That's ZionDrivingInstructors.com. Zion Driving Instructors, your journey to the open road starts here. Contact us and make your driving dreams a reality. Mention this ad and get a 5% off selected package.
Cathwell Stationery Services Limited announces its massive blowout sale on all stationery for school and office. Get copy paper at just $18 per ream. Enjoy up to 18% off folders, cardstock, Bristol boards, ink and toner cartridges, laptops, office furniture, and more. To order now, call 442-5848 or 5747. Or call 435-3377 and get free delivery island-wide and the lowest prices nationwide. Or visit our outlet on Scott Street, St. George's, where we guarantee the lowest prices daily. Cathwell Stationery Services Limited, the reliable office supply people.
Us and reach millions daily, weekly, monthly. Yeah, over 10 million per month. It pays to advertise with us. Reach more and let us send your business viral. Advertise with us and reach more.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, for sharing, for being a part of this conversation, guys. It's this type of conversation where we need to see 2,000 and 3,000 and 4,000 people. Yesterday program, good. I like to see the thousands of people on the live. We had about 25, 22, 2,300 people on the live last night. And the funny thing about it is this information is very, very pertinent and essential to a lot of people. But a lot of people, guys, they like the bacchanal. They like the bacchanal. That is all they like. They like the bacchanal. They don't like nothing else. Although they need the information, they like the bacchanal. I want us as a community to pay more attention to what is important to us. What is more important to us? I don't mind bringing the controversial stories, I don't mind it. But at some point in time, guys, we have to pay attention to what is important to us, primarily what's important to us. Because I'm sure that the countless amount of people who needed to hear this information the most was not on this live here tonight. They probably go watch it later or so. I understand that. But these are the kind of information that our community need. If we have to advance as a people, we need this information. The community need this information. And when they're going out and they're talking and they're putting up memes, I want them to talk about these type of program that we bring to the fore on a regular basis. I don't know why my... Yeah. Right. Anyway, guys. I don't know why this mic was clicking like that. Yeah. All right. Anyway, it's this type of information that we need more than anything else. It's very important, essential information that our community need. And hopefully to reach the people who will get to see. So when you see people posting things and when you see people talking things, you have the background of things that we do on this platform to innovate, to inform and entertain our general public. And I hope that people would take that in sometimes. I hope people would give us the due credit sometimes. And I hope people will pay attention because they never are wrong when important information is being shared. And that needs to change. It does. It seriously needs to change. Anyway, guys. Remember I was telling you yesterday about the Grenada 50th anniversary t-shirt, sweaters, tanks that we're doing for Grenada 50th anniversary independence. It's going to be on sale for a year, right? Now, yesterday we announced this, guys, and we sold 50 of these sweaters. 50. And I'm like, yes. Great support. I want to thank everyone who went into the Ride By link and purchased one of these sweaters and t-shirts. It's on the way. It was shipped yesterday after you purchase it. I'm inviting you guys to take advantage of the opportunity. Pick up one of these limited edition 50th anniversary sweaters right now. Again, we had the sweaters, the t-shirt, the whole nine. Even for the ladies, we have the dress, 50th anniversary, everything. Go into Ride By and you'll see the many different options of things that you could choose from. Get it, and get it. Very, very important. Now, if you have a business and you want to advertise on Ride Along Live, now we send your business viral. We know how to do it. You have a business and you want to advertise, give us a call. And for the month of November, we have some package discount. So if you advertise with us in the month of November, you get some great discount. You're reaching millions of people, you're getting a great discount. All right? Get it done right now. Did I tell you guys that we're also on Fire TV? Yeah, man. We're in everything like salt. So Right Along Live is on Fire TV, guys. What that means is that we're now exposed to over 40 million. That's in addition to all the hundreds of thousands of people that watch us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere else. No, you could watch us on your TV, on Fire TV. So if you have a Fire Stick right now, you have access. And the app is free. You go in there and you type in Right Along Live. And just like that, vula, you get access to Right Along Live with hundreds, if not thousands of programs. In fact, this show is on there right now. Every show that we did the past 6 years is on there. You could go back and watch it. You could binge watch Right Along Live. So download it right now. Right Along Live is on Fire TV. Coming soon to Roku. Yeah, we're coming soon to Roku. All right? So we in everything like salt. And we thank you because it's because of you we could grow like this. You know what I mean? It's because of you we could innovate. Right? There's no one that has the innovation and the expertise and the quality program like Right Along Live. And you know why? Because of you. You, the viewers. You. All gratitude to you. And we say thank you so much. Peace out, everybody. Thanks to our producers, Lois JJ. Thank you so much. Our moderator, producer over there with Kibbs. Kibbs, where are they? Kibbs probably sleeping. And also Gail. Thank you so much, guys. Catch you guys again tomorrow. We have another interesting program lined up for you. Good night, everyone.
For a limited time, the NLA has dropped all of the 2x balls from the multi-X draw. This means that you, our valuable players, have greater chances of multiplying your winnings up to 5 times more in our 2x drop promotion. Yay! And that's not all. As an additional bonus, there will be fewer free play or FP balls to draw from too. Now you have more reasons to add multi-X to your playway bets. So, value your dreams, win your way, and multiply your winnings up to 5 times more in the NLA's 2X